Hi, this is Anushree Nair Energy Healer, emotional health coach, practicing for past 15 years, helping people to work on their emotional thought patterns to create a greater life using tools and modalities from Access Consciousness, Tarot card, Angel card healing, crystals, and many more. Welcome to another episode of Being Me with Anushree, my podcast series, where we explore the journey of our guests, the emotional tools that they have used to achieve their success. മറ്റുള്ളവർ എന്ത് ചിന്തിക്കും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പറയും. Most of the time we are stuck in that loop and that stops us from having a life that we actually desire or what we want to create. But as I say, when you make a choice, universe, God, whoever you believe in, always helps you with your creation. It always helps you to attract what you desire in life, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your business, health, or even abundance. And today we have a guest who have followed his heart, who after joining his family business made it 100 crore turnover in less than 5 years. He has been a past president of Indian Chambers of Commerce, ex-chairman of Cochin Round Table India, past secretary of Cochin Rubber Merchant Association. Not only that, but he also created a symphony of possibilities for a larger group of members as the executive director of BEING Trivandrum. So today we have Vikas Agarwal as my guest on my podcast series, Being Me with Anushree. So thank you so much for being on my podcast series, which is Being Me with Anushree. Thank you so much for making it today. So how does it feel like when you hear being me? It's a different concept.
Sometimes scary because I believe everybody lives in a pretense mode most of the time. We're forced to behave a particular way, and the larger the number of people that you deal with, I think the pretense just goes more and more and more. So when you say being me, you have to shed a lot of pretense to look inwards, which could be a challenge, but let's see. Let's try to do a good job at it.
Yes, absolutely. So as I've heard about you, right? A confident, strong, visionary, passionate entrepreneur leading 800 business entrepreneurs, fun-loving leader. But my question here is, who's the real Vikas?
So I have to shed a lot of pretense today. It could be detrimental to the image that I hold currently among these 800 people.
No, but I'm very sure it would be inspiring too.
I think the real Vikas is not very ambitious, but not very content. Not very serious, but not so funny. And I think it's a balance that I strive to make between most things in life, because I think harmony is more suitable a word rather than balance. We hear work-life balance, we hear so many things, but I think the best way that one can go about is giving the best possible quality to the best possible time that you are in. So the real Vikas is probably everything at that moment.
Wow. So you mean to say being present in the moment is also one of the way how you create what you have created?
I think that's the only way.
Wow.
Because we as human beings and as leaders, as business owners, as father, as a child, we live so much in the past.
Yeah.
We live so much in the worry about the future. Yeah. But I think just being in the moment solves 99% of the problems. So when I'm sitting with you, I'm just trying to see how best I can deliver value to the audience, to you, to anybody who wants to listen to this podcast later. Yeah. I'm not going to be worried about those 800 business owners or my family at home for that matter.
Wow.
So I think living in the moment holds the key.
Absolutely, because as an emotional coach, that is something which I also kind of facilitate people, because when you are being in the moment, you are aware of the surroundings, you're aware about your thought patterns, and it's quite easy to tackle that. So let me come to a very another interesting question. How do you also have mind chatter when you are alone, and how do you handle it? Like before taking a business decision, or say if you're launching a new chapter, right? There would be a lot of thoughts and, that monkey mind that we says that should I do that or should I do this? How do you handle that? Like, how do you create something out of that me time. So what's your me time?
Uh, so I really don't have a me time because of the large number of people that I'm generally associated with, and plus because of my current other businesses as well. So most of the time I'm thinking what next.
Okay.
So there's nothing to contemplate on the past because I learn quickly and I want to implement that. So whether it's a BNI chapter, whether it's a leadership team, whether it's a new business venture, most of the time my only worry is can I handle it if it fails?
Okay.
I mean, so
Okay.
I look at the extent of the loss that could be caused because of a failed attempt.
Okay.
And if it's within my purview to handle it, I will do it.
Okay.
So I don't look at a failure as not to do it, but whether I'm in the position to handle it is my
Okay. And
evaluation.
is also a failure for you a stepping stone to create new possibilities?
Now that's a very strange question because they say stepping stones, but I think my life is full of failures.
Oh.
It may sound oxymoronic, but the things that I've done in past which have failed are far too many than compared to the things which have succeeded.
Okay.
And I think that's the only way to live life as well.
Okay.
I'll give you a very simple example. As a child, when you start walking, crawling at 7 months or 8 months or 9 months, the child falls, wobbles, gets up again, does the same thing again, and does it till the time he can start walking, barely walking on his knees or legs. And as parents also, we don't stop them. We don't say, no, nadakanda, buddhimuttunda. We don't tell that, right? We let them do it. But when we grow older, we are more cautious. We don't want to fall because of the thing that you mentioned. What will people think? ആൾക്കാർ എങ്ങനെയായിരിക്കും അതിൽ കാണുന്നത്?
Correct.
And that holds back most of the business owners or people in life generally. If you want to sing, you sing. Maybe you'll do a good job. Maybe you have a scope for improvement. I mean, not everybody is born or gifted at everything.
Yeah.
So I think as business owners, failures are the only way to learn what has worked or what has not worked and then learn from it. The second place where people fail is to not learn from the failures. You do a mistake once, it's a mistake. You do it twice, it's negligence. You do it thrice, you're a dumb person.
Yeah. Actually, it's a habit. Like,
Yeah.
that's how they say it.
So what you don't change, you choose.
Correct. Yes.
In life, if you don't want to change a habit, basically it's a choice that you have made. And then you can't
Absolutely.
blame the rest of the world for it.
Absolutely. And as I always say, no choice is also a choice.
Yes.
So, have you ever faced rejections?
Multiple times.
Okay.
Multiple times.
And how did you handle those? Like,
When you go to a hotel, maybe the waiter will come to you with a tray. Maybe it'll have fish fingers, maybe it'll have fresh fries. And when you say no to it, the waiter does not feel bad, right? Because the waiter understands that you don't want the dish.
yes.
And I feel rejection is similar. So when somebody rejects your proposal or any project that you come up with, why should you feel bad and take it personally that they've rejected you? They've rejected the offering because
Wow.
they didn't want that offering.
Wow.
So maybe the offering is bad or maybe they don't want that offering. Either of the things could be true. So what I do is I offer it to somebody else.
Wow. So that brings, wow, that's a very enlightening thing that most of the people take rejection very personally. And there is a thin line about that, how you separate yourself as an entity and what you're offering is the thing that which most of the business entrepreneurs or most of the people fail, or I mean they don't feel that thin line which is there.
Absolutely.
So it's, wow, that's a great insight of being highly aware that it's not about you,
Absolutely.
but just not the right time.
Absolutely.
Or the right
I mean,
product.
see, you make a product. Now that product is nothing new or a service that you offer. There are thousands of people to do it. It will click for a particular reason, but it will not click for many reasons. So why should we take personally when it does not click?
Wow.
When it clicks also, I think we should not take the full credit. So when somebody says that I'm responsible for so many people coming together, yes, I am one of the initiators. I do lead this group, but then it's a teamwork which is led by so many people, so many like-minded people coming together. So I'd be wrong in taking the entire credit to myself as well. Because when I don't want to take the blame personally, I think I should not take the credit personally.
Correct. So yes, as you said, it's a business relationship is also about a communion of different mindsets coming together and creating something. So rather than a relationship, if I quote it as a creationship where like-minded people come together and then they just create together for a greater goal or a greater achievement.
True.
Right? So great. So as there's a quote which I really love, which is called "Winners never do different things; they just do things differently." Now, being from Trivandrum and being a 6-year-old BNI member, also I always had that. Oh, my city doesn't have a BNI chapter, and during the COVID time in 2020, I guess BNI Trivandrum was launched, which was a challenging time. And the second thing which I was very curious when I heard your name, Vikas Agarwal, which is from North India, right? The Agarwal family is from. So this quote for me perfectly fits you, like, right? Like, winners never do different things, they just do things differently. So what was your calling behind starting a region in Trivandrum compared to a buzzing city like Cochin, which is a hub of business transactions? So what was your calling? I mean, it's a totally different take altogether.
Again, I'll come back to the same point that I mentioned earlier, where the mind chatter is very less for me.
Okay.
I don't analyze too many things because I believe it's called analysis paralysis.
Yes, paralysis of analysis.
Yeah, so
yes.
you do too much studies, and there's a friend of mine called Velumani from Thyrocare. He says in life either you discuss or you do.
Yeah.
So he says you discuss too many things and nothing will happen. So you either discuss or decide. So I I'm the person on the second type where I decide and do. Coming back to what was my calling to start Trivandrum, actually nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, I was very happy with my membership in Cochin. It's a known fact that I was a proud member in Cochin.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised. A surprise for me.
I wasn't aware of
So
that.
my BNI journey is about 10 years old. So if you see this pin, was given to me at the Global Convention, where we celebrated 10 years of my membership in BNI.
Wow.
So I was a proud member in Cochin, and somewhere down the line, as I mentioned, contentment and ambition have to go hand in hand. So I was very content with my life in Cochin, reasonable good business, very good family, a good life, and I was supporting many chapters as well. I think by 2020, Cochin was also close to about 1,000 members. But then a sense of giving back came in my mind, where how we can impact more lives, And I didn't want to start Trivandrum region for that matter.
Oh.
In fact, one of my friends in Trivandrum, I have recommended him to start.
Okay.
I took him to Anil, who was the executive director in BNI, for him to start Trivandrum. Not one, actually 3 people I had recommended from Trivandrum for them to start in Trivandrum.
Okay.
But I always wanted that BNI should grow everywhere.
Yes.
Whether it's me, whether somebody else, that's beyond the point. Because I know what kind of impact BNI was making in the small and medium business owners' lives in Cochin.
Absolutely.
So I went to that extent to get them to join BNI or to start up BNI in Trivandrum. But for their own personal reasons, which I respect, they were not able to do it. And I should give credit to my wife because she is the one who says, why don't you try to do it? And let me tell you, except on this podcast, I was very apprehensive. I said, why? I'm very comfortable here. Why should I leave all this comfort and I have to relocate to Trivandrum? I've got a good business. You want me to stay away. These were the words I used, that you want me to go away. And she was very upset because I used those words.
Yeah.
But then next day, when you sit back and relax and think, it's a possibility. Because then you're going to be in charge, as you say, the leader who can make a difference on your own. As a member, there is a particular limit.
Yeah.
And the more higher up you go in the hierarchy of any organization, the chance of influencing lives is much higher.
Yes.
If you're head of department, you can probably influence those 30, 40 batches that are under you.
Yeah.
But if you're the principal of a college or a school, you have 10 head of departments that you can influence.
Yeah.
And maybe a vice chancellor of a university so long. And that was the kind of urge where I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And fortunately or unfortunately, COVID came.
Yes.
So why I say fortunately or unfortunately, because we decided to start BNI on 1st of March. I happened to be born on 2nd of March, so one day before we started. And 23rd of March was the lockdown.
Oh. Okay.
So 23 days, the entire world had changed because now I'm no longer a member. I have embarked on a journey where I have to influence people, and the world is getting influenced by COVID. So
Yeah.
it was a very tricky
Quite
situation.
challenging time,
Yes.
at that
Yes.
point of time, where I think that's the time where the entire BNI world went online at that point of time.
Yeah. But BNI is a great organization again because I quote this umpteen number of times. We're an organization as large as BNI. I believe that time we were to about 2.75 lakh members globally, and it never let its member down.
Absolutely.
There are about, and I can proudly say, about 60% of members of BNI get about 60% of their business through BNI. And that's a large chunk.
That's
Imagine a pandemic creating havoc across the world, but yet the organization being so agile to provide the meeting experience that it was doing seamlessly without even missing a week. That speaks about our core value of traditions and innovation,
Yes,
where you
yes.
kept the tradition of the meetings alive,
Yes.
yet innovated, pivoted to an online mode
Yes.
to give it. And I thought, and I didn't know this, so I knew that this will happen, but we never estimated that COVID would last as long as it did. Me myself was under the impression that it probably is passing phase, 1 month, 2 months, and it will be gone, and but it didn't. So about a month later, so as I mentioned, from 1st of March till about 1st of April, I was like the deer on the highway, flashing lights coming by the road.
Yeah.
You don't know whether to cross or to come back,
Yeah.
and you're stuck there. But then, as we say, mind chatter comes into play and you say, now let's move forward.
Let's move
Because you can't dwell in the past. There's nothing much that you have control over.
Yeah.
And that's how we started the first Zoom info session
Wow.
on the 1st of April.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I really like the way you quoted it. Sometimes in life, that's the point where you're like, okay, this is the situation now. What do I do about it?
Yeah.
It's always about going forward.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very, very amazing insight. I didn't know this part of the thing, because when we look from outside, wow, BNI Trivandrum, it's, you feel proud being a Trivandrum person also and creating so much. The members are so engaging. But like it's said that every successful story has lot of undercurrent.
And a woman behind it, which is my wife this time.
Absolutely. So really kudos to her. So can I ask you this, that do you, like how we say, we were talking about being, right? So there, from emotional health point of view, there is also a concept of knowing, doing and being.
Yeah.
Right? So what weightage do you give? Like, are you intuitive? Do you trust your intuitions, your gut feeling? How is it? How
I totally. So that's what gets me into trouble a lot of times. So if you do a test, a lot of these psychometric tests, the Harrison assessment test and all
Yeah.
that stuff, my intuition level is top notch.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it served me well because it's given me good experience, if not success in that particular attempt. But I'm very intuitive. Yes. To a short answer, I'm very intuitive, and I somehow feel positive about most things in life, which is a bad thing for a business owner, because so many proposals that come up to me, I say, yeah, this is great, it'll work. This is great, it'll work. And then, so I need now a sounding board to somebody to say no to it, because I'm a very optimistic person.
Wow.
And I don't find that there is a bad human being at all. I trust everybody. I believe what they say, and I want to give them everybody a chance. I leave up to them to cheat me and prove them that I was wrong.
Oh.
But I want to believe everybody is true.
Everybody is true.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, I completely resonate with you on that aspect also, because in energy medicine, we have this term called humans and humanoids.
Okay.
So humans are the people who follow a lot of form and structure, who go 9 to 5 job, and this is the way how it has to be and all. And the humanoids are the people who are very creative, who are very, very intuitive, who will move mountains apart across to create a creation. And once that is created, they'll be like, okay, this was this much, next what? So somehow it reminds me, it kind of like you fall into a humanoid category.
Totally. I've not heard of that word before, but I think that's me.
Yes, because this term is from the modality called Access Consciousness,
Okay.
which is for which I'm a certified facilitator from
Okay.
US, and it's completely about consciousness that includes everything and judges nothing.
Is it a new kind of approach, or it's been there
Yes,
for
it's
some
been there for a while.
Okay.
It's been there for a while. So it's basically about helping people to look beyond,
time? Okay.
right? Because most of the time we are stuck in our own beyonds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, like this, that, and this could have been this and all. The moment you cross that beyond, a new series of possibilities opens up for you.
But is it also based on the level or the degree of where you come from? Like we have this very famous concept called the abundance, survival, and then the survival, sustainable, and then abundance mentality.
Yes.
So in case you are in that level, you will probably not go beyond, and when you reach the abundance level, then is when you start thinking beyond. Is it that way?
No, it is more about that in every way. If you are, like how you said, if you be yourself, you can create any possibility that you would like to
Whichever
create.
mode you are in.
Absolutely. And it follows the true mantra, which really has worked miracles for me as well, as that your point of view creates your reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like how we have been conversing. You never had a point of view about, okay, this is going to be this like this, or this is going to be like this. So it just, universe kind of just
Comes
opened up, multiple possibilities for you to create. And there was no looking back, in a way.
True.
That I could make out from this
So
conversation.
here, just to add one pointer, when you say go beyond, I think the BNI's philosophy of giver's gain is so true about it.
True.
And a writer called Khalil Gibran,
Yes.
in his book The Prophet, 100 years back has written on giving. He says you cannot give when you have nothing if you cannot give when you have everything. So
Absolutely.
basically, it just counts your point. When it's a beyond mentality, can happen anytime.
And also, because the main thing is that what I totally believe in, your true competition is you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I believe in one thing, is that God created every person as a different, we have different features and different, the way we look, the way different, we are different in every way.
True.
So that means you are special. Otherwise, we all would have been same.
Absolutely.
Right? So the real competition is yourself. So how BNI has really worked for me is that every time whatever I create, I'm like, okay, I created this, now how can I get
Better
any
it.
better than this?
True.
Right?
I would change the word competition there. I think the real inspiration is you, or
Yes.
the real
It's about-
benchmark is you, I would say.
Yes.
Because I truly feel competition is too overrated.
Overrated. So it's mainly, but I call it out creation.
Yes, absolutely. So it's you're bettering yourself, you're creating new benchmarks, you're saying now this is done, what's the next? What's the next level?
How can I do something better than this?
True.
So I always, one of the mantra that I always follow is that whatever happens, good, bad, ugly, it's always like, okay, how does it get any better than this?
Correct.
And
Or
what
how
else
can
is
it get
possible?
worse? How can it get worse?
So now, coming to this, so how do you recharge yourself emotionally?
I take conscious breaks. It is very strenuous, and since this conversation is about being me, it doesn't look as glossy as it seems to everybody, right?
I know.
Because you're seeing the Vikas Agarwal is always, upright, he's positive, he's leading, he's happy, he's inspiring, but that's not the truth always. So in bouts of time, which may vary from a month, maybe 3 months, I take a conscious break from meeting people, which I love, from doing the daily things that we're doing. Even though I believe that routines liberate us, but yet sometimes you have to liberate yourself from the routine also. And where you take a conscious break and just don't do it,
Okay.
think about anything else but the thing which is, binding you right now.
Okay.
And I think that's the best way to recharge. I love holidays.
Okay.
So, I do take many holidays as much as possible as my time permits.
Okay.
But then that's more superficial. For me, learning is a big mental reset.
So as I've heard that you read a lot which keeps you more energetic
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well?
So I love to read about many things, as diverse as artificial intelligence or parenting. Could be anything. I just love to keep myself aware of as diverse topics as possible. So now the learning has taken many shapes. It's now in terms of podcasts like the one we are doing. I hope somebody can learn from what we're talking about. I learn a lot from podcasts. A lot of books that I read, a lot of journals, a lot of conferences. So I keep my brain sharp, or a mental reset is happening when I talk about a new topic as such where I'm zero. So
Okay.
if you ask me to talk about BNI, I can talk in my sleep. But let's say you talk about temple architecture, and I probably have zero knowledge. So then I'm very sharp, agile to learn more things about it. And I want to be at a proficiency level which is close to 70-80%, where only the top 5-20% of people can beat me at any topic. So that's my mental reset recently.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. So, that reminds me of a very interesting quote by Rumi, is that don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth,
Wow.
right? So, as this conversation is, we are having this conversation, this quote is something which is really resonating with the kind of creation that you do, like breaking the stereotypes and breaking the odds and creating symphony of possibilities. For now we have 800 members. So do you follow a pattern or the formula? I won't say it as a pattern, but a formula which is a proven structure, or do you create your own methods?
I truly believe that it always seems impossible until it's done. So, right. So, when Roger Bannister way back in '60s did the mile under 4 minutes, nobody had done it in centuries. The minute he did it, in next 2 years there were 10 people who did it.
Yes, yes.
Because people are very construed or binded by the things that have happened in the past by somebody else who has done it. Then they say, okay, if I has done it, I can do it. But let's talk about a situation which has not happened before. Then the only way to do it is constructed in your mind. Well, let's say a very close example is BNI. Now, Trivandrum as a city didn't have BNI. It was a new concept. Some people here and there had heard about it through coaching. And they didn't know Zoom. They didn't know COVID. So most of the variables were unknown. The only variable which was known is me. So I created this in my mind, and it would sound boasting, but I'm very proud to say I had listed down 25 chapter names,
Wow. Okay.
all starting with M.
Yeah.
And I had this vision that 5 years down the line, we'll probably have it in a big resort in Trivandrum or Kovalam, where every chapter name will pop out of M with the large M in between. And every member is that I am.
Wow. Okay.
And this was even before I had first member enrolled with me.
Enroll.
So I constructed this entire structure, company, the members in my mind because there didn't exist such a thing. And that's how you go on a larger scale to do things which have never existed. Otherwise, you're just doing something, you're just copying what somebody else did.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to be limited by his limits.
Limitations. Exactly.
Because as a person, somebody says, I want to create 1,000 crore company, say nutraceutical, probably that's the biggest that they've grown till now. But what limits us to only 1,000 crores and only nutraceutical.
Yeah, yeah. That's the limitation. Okay. So you mean to say that you should have a vision, you should have a dream, but you should not design that dream with a limitation in mind.
I
Because
would
when
little
we-
alter it to say not design with the limitation of somebody else.
Of someone else.
Yeah. So you should know your borders, but that should be created by you.
Okay.
Not by somebody else, because then that is his limitations and you're putting your vision to his limitations.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So there is a very interesting thing which is really going a lot on social media, which is called law of attraction. So do you believe in law of attraction? Manifestation.
I want you to explain me the law of attraction. Then I'll tell you my views about it, because I've heard about it. But if you can define the law of attraction in a sentence, then I'll give you my views about it.
Yes, so law of attraction, well, honestly, I believe in a very different concept called actualization. Because law of attraction is when you be the energy that you are willing to attract. Or let me put it in such a way that for anything for you to attract, you have to be that energy. You have to be at that vibration, right? Without any ifs and buts and without any limitations. So when you naturally be that thing with your knowing, rather, so like I say, there's a difference between knowing, being, and doing.
True.
So law of attraction is a concept where you attract your dreams, your whatever you would like to achieve in life when you vibrate at a certain frequency.
Right.
So you need to elevate yourself and vibrate higher by letting go of all your judgments, projections, expectations, which is holding you back from that creation. So when you vibrate higher, universe also vibrates at that frequency, or rather you vibrate at the frequency of the universe, where things comes to you very quickly.
True. So I'm so glad that you defined it in the right way, because I'm sure, because if it's a profession and you define it the right way. But I think most of the audience today, or most of the general public today, says law of attraction is you sit down and prarthi kiya, very. I think that's so misconstrued. But so that's the right definition. You have to be there, and action is a large part of attraction.
Yeah.
Even by physical syntax, if you look at it, attraction without action will not happen. So you got to be there at that frequency, true, and then you got to take action, and then the attraction will happen.
Absolutely.
It cannot work in the reverse order.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm very, a big believer, and I would go forward to say I call it manifestation or actualization, as you mentioned. And I have numerous instances in life where the manifestation had played for me, whether it's a material acquisition, whether it's a dream, whether it's just a holiday, it has happened. But because I put action to it, then it happened.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, the short
and
answer is
like you said, it has to be a complete surrender of giving away all your point of views, because most of the people, they do write, most of the clients, they do come to me and they said, oh, we had put in a vision, we would like to attract this, but it's not happening. And I go like, yeah, because you have the ifs and buts in your, like, how it's gonna, when you wish for something, you just let it, universe to bring it to you.
True.
You just keep on doing your work.
You got to work towards it.
Yes, action is the most important thing that way.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you something from my line of work, right? As a part of emotional health, a lot of leaders, they practice different kind of tools like journaling. They do, we call it brain dumping. They make vision board. They write their to-do list. They do breath work, a lot of things. So do you do something like that? What are your emotional tools to keep you super energetic?
What will get me popularity? Let me tell that. I do have a to-do list, but those are not on a daily basis to-do lists. Those are more yearly or a 5-yearly to-do lists.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of us underestimate what we can do in the long term and overestimate what we can do in the short term. You'll have a list of 20 items that you cover in 8 hours, and at the end you'll just repeat those 20 items next day and then keep doing it, which is, I think, a waste of effort. So I probably know what I need to do for my day, and I just do that without making a big list. I'm now starting to make a not to do list.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm a very positive person. I just say yes to most of the things. So now I want to say no to a lot of things.
Wow.
Because otherwise, I can only stretch myself as much.
Yes.
So now I'm positively making a not to do list.
Okay.
And the to-do list is more on a yearly basis. Say I want to do this project over this time frame this year, or maybe by 2030 I want. So more on the vision lines rather than action lines. And the processes are more suitable for achieving those goals rather than individual items, action items.
Okay. So, from the statement that you just said, which is a very powerful thing, now my question is from that, which I personally would love to know about it. You said that now I have a list for which I would like to say no to. Now, in this society, in the environment that we are living in, saying no is a very, very big people find it very difficult to say it no just because they don't want to be judged. Some of them are people pleasers. Some feel that, okay, what if there is like they just want to be everywhere.
True.
So, grounding, the process that we call in emotional health, where grounding is very, very important, where your core is very strong, you have to say no that doesn't align with your energy.
True.
So, my question to you is not to the executive director of BNI Trivandrum, Vikas, but to the Vikas who has been on this journey and who have had his own bag, right? What is your perspective about saying no? Is it healthy to say no? Or, I would rephrase it in a different way. Like, what is your opinion to people, or as an advice to the people, that you have to say no when it comes to your emotional well being? So, how would you put it as?
See, it's not a requirement that is, on a positive side, but it's for your mental health. Because eventually, if you keep saying yes to most of the things, you will be shaped by the people around you and not by what you are. Saying no hurts once, but then that's the end of the story. I mean, just like many great authors say, fall fast, get up fast. Fail fast, get up fast. So I think saying no is failing fast. You may have failed that person in his eyes, but you have done it once, and then he says, you felt bad, so bad, you could have thought about it, you could have told me. But that's it. After that, I have been no baggage, I have been no expectations from his side, whatever it is, maybe a business proposal, maybe just a small get together. But you have a clear cut line and you have defined that with him or her, and which sets the tone. If you keep lingering, if you say, okay, I'll think about it, you're giving that other person hope. And I think that's the biggest mistake that anybody could do, give hope when you don't intend to do what they want. So I think that's the best way, because I very often feel that what people think about me is not my problem.
Oh, absolutely. I even agree to that.
So once you have that thought process in my mind, then saying no is not very difficult.
It's not very. So you mean to say that saying no is definitely, it helps you to have a strong mental health, as well as it helps you in a very it puts you at peace and it gives you calmness.
I would say, as a mental health coach, you should be telling everybody or teaching everybody how to say no.
Oh yes, I do.
Because if you learn that one skill,
yes,
life is so much easier.
Yes, absolutely.
And you don't have to be rude. When I say saying no, you don't have to be rude about it.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody invites you for an inauguration. And I have a meeting at my daughter's school or my son's school. I have to say no. But the way I would do it is, I said, I think I'm not available on those dates. How about you meet Anushree? She might be available to come and inaugurate your showroom.
Giving
She's also
them
great for
an option, yes.
So you divert that attention, that option, and they also don't feel bad, because instead of just saying no and leaving them in the lurch to find the next option, you have helped them to get the next option.
Help them together. So usually, what, as you mentioned, like whenever a client comes to me and they say that, how can I say no to about it? So the first thing which I always facilitate my clients is it light for you to do it? Because if it's not light for you, it's not honoring of you to do that thing.
True.
No matter even if it's an opportunity worth a huge money, but at the end of the day, it has to be kind and honoring to you.
So the choice has to be yours.
I would say
life is all about sacrifices.
Yes.
So if you mentioned the money opportunity, you will have to sacrifice time with your family, maybe move to a new city, maybe take care of your old parents, or not having the pleasure of taking care of your parents. No, but that's a choice that you should be able to make rather than dictated by somebody else.
Absolutely.
Of course, life is not so black and white as I make it out to be. It is difficult, especially for people who are employed. You may not like your manager, you may not like your boss, you may not like your salary or your colleagues or your politics. But then again, the choice is yours. Whether you want, which parts you want to compromise. Maybe 8 parameters out of 10 you can have a compromise, and the 2 which you cannot should be your priority. And if these 2 are really bad, then I think you should move out.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's anything else in life.
Yeah.
So you got to put your priorities on things which are unacceptable, and then take the call yourself.
Yes. Again, coming to the same concept of knowing, we all know what we would love to create in life. So this is one of the tools that I often facilitate people. A truth will always make you feel lighter, and a lie will always make you feel heavier. So if it is heavy for you, it's a no. Don't even think about it.
But the problem is the biggest gap in the world is also between knowing and doing.
Yes, that is.
All of us know fried food is bad. All of us know excess is good. Yet look at us where we are.
That's true. That's true. So, the next question which I would love to know is that, like we say, every region, or like taking BNI which is a very common aspect between us, every chapter, every region has a separate ecosystem, right? They blend in well, they have their own synergy and all. But coming to 3 C's of leadership, right? In terms of emotional health, I take it as choice, connections, and commitments.
Okay.
Right? So choice, yes, we have been speaking about that. So what's your point of view about commitment and connections, or a synergy of these 3 together?
With relation to BNI?
With relation to everything. Emotional health, BNI, for us as a human being or business entrepreneurs.
Isn't commitment the follow through of choice?
Well,
if you do make a choice to become healthy, the commitment would be to join a gym and go every day.
Correct.
I think in life, whether it's a BNI chapter, whether it's a business, once you make a choice to do or not to do, whichever will be the case, let's say you want to abstain from a particular bad habit, let's say smoking, and you choose not to smoke, the commitment would be not to buy the cigarette, or not to go out to hang out with people who do so.
Correct.
So I think commitment is just a follow through of choice. But are you committed to the commitment?
Exactly. That's what I was coming to also. Because as I said, it's a very interesting thing that you said. But how I would put it as, once you're committed to yourself, then only you will make a choice.
I don't know. I don't know.
You got to be committed to yourself, right? To make a choice that if I'm committed to my own self, that okay, I would like to have a life, I would like to create a life like this, then I would make ideal choices so that I can create whatever I would like to create.
But Anushree, isn't a choice right or wrong in hindsight? And so is the decision. So I can replace the word choice with a decision. You make a decision, and then time proves whether it was right or wrong.
Yeah.
You can make an intellectual decision which will increase the probability of it being right in the future. But yet, a decision is not a good or bad one currently. A decision is just a decision.
It's
maybe
just
an informed choice, as we call it.
Yeah.
And then time proves with your commitments, with your actions that you've taken, to prove your decisions right or wrong.
Correct.
Now I'm not talking about deciding to walk off a cliff. Now that's a dumb decision, of course. So the result is very much guaranteed that we'll see you in the coffin. But any informed decision is proven wrong or right with the actions that you take towards achieving those decisions or proving them right. And then maybe over the duration of time, we understand how it pans out.
Yeah.
So when you say, if I'm committed to myself and I make a choice, it may work, I think so. Or because making commitment to yourself is very easy because there's nobody else listening, no?
Yes, but
you say, okay, I want to lose weight, and tomorrow you say, no, my weight is okay. You're not accountable to anybody. I think public accountability is a big factor, I believe. So making commitment to yourself is good, in terms of mental health and all that stuff.
Yes.
But I would really love it if that commitment could be opened up to more number of people, or at least one other person.
Yes.
So that you're also saying that, you told me this, now what about your actions that you're going to take towards
Actions.
it?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. When I talk about being committed to yourself is all about how we spoke about outcreation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When I'm committed to my own self, that is all about creating myself, moving up the path higher and higher,
True.
for which absolutely I have to take actions, as
Yeah.
nothing is served on the
Plate.
platter for you. So you have to outcreate yourself. But again, in today's time, like of course within business leaders also, we have seen procrastination is a huge, and the game of validation is also huge.
Talk about all those likes and ticks and
Yes.
hearts that come across.
Yes. So what is your point of view about how should one handle validation and procrastination?
Very diverse words, I would say, procrastination and validation. Luckily for me, I've never been a procrastinator. And there are many frameworks that people follow, the 2-minute rule, the 5-minute rule, whatever it is. I'm sure everybody knows about it. And that's why I'm busy all the time, because I don't have time for the future. If you give me a task now, I said now. So I'm sure you recall when you asked me when can I talk to you, I said now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I give you time 5 minutes later and I give 10 people the time 5 minutes later, I'm not going to talk to anybody. So I think the simple act of procrastination can be just solved if you say now, if it can be done in less than 5 minutes. So I may not be the right person to tell you how procrastination feels like because I have not been there.
No, well, that's an inspiration, like how you said that. Just do it now, simply get over with it.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a great tool to do it, because we normally, people who procrastinate, they are like, oh, let me do it in 5 minutes. If you put it as a like a exercise or like a alarm on the phone, like now, just do it now, no matter what it takes. So that's a great tool to handle procrastination.
Whatever it be, it may be like exercise. So if I don't have time in the evenings, I started working out 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Because do it now.
Do it now.
If you can, do it now, because otherwise there's no time to do it.
Correct.
Because again, it comes from the basic philosophy of saying we are all pretense. Why we do procrastination? One is laziness, of course. The second is we want to show that we are busy. So when we say I want to report, can I give it to you tomorrow because I'm busy now? And that pretense, once you shed off that pretense and say that I have enough time to do it now, let the other person feel that he has got no job. I don't care. At least my job is easier. That's why I don't have a to-do list, because I do most of the things now. The second part you mentioned is about validation. So I'm as human as anybody could get. So we do feel nice when somebody appreciates you, when somebody talks good about the work that you've done, or a speech that you've given, or a conversation that you've had. But then again, that is only for now. If I let that sink in and stay there for hours and days and months, it doesn't take time to become arrogance. So you enjoy the moment.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment. Say thanks. Appreciate what they've said. Pass it on if you can. You probably, like, if you give me a compliment, it says, yeah, God's been kind. I've just passed on the compliment to God.
Wow.
And don't let that sink in too long.
Sink into you.
Yeah.
Wow. So yes, wow, that's really amazing. So there is also something which I read, that genuine connections fills in the cup and the attachments drains you.
Let that sink in. Can you come again? Genuine connections.
Genuine connections fills up the cup.
Okay.
But attachments drain you.
Okay.
Right. So I think the conversation, that's something where I read, it came to my mind when you said it's very powerful, being present, being in the moment, do it now, and not, even if it's a good compliment or even if it's something, no, it's just in this present moment, because past is something like how, again, in terms as an emotional health coach, I always say is that past is only a place where you can be stuck.
That's it.
And future is a place which you never know
Where
it
you will
can happen.
Yeah.
But yes, I think these are the key learnings, which is very, very powerful. Which
So sometimes when you say acceptance, drains us. That's what you mentioned, right? Attachment drains us. Again, at the cost of being, say, indifferent.
yeah,
Sometimes, including my wife, people have called me emotionally very insensitive. It could be because of a lot of reasons. I lost my dad when I was 22. But I really don't feel too much pain, even for near and dear ones. So if somebody says that, he lost a mother, he lost a father, I'm saying, yeah, I'm sorry for it, but that's it. So it all boils down for me, probably saying that, be now, be here, do now.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know, it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't have too many attachments,
Wow.
So
Actually,
it can feel bad, it can feel ruled, it can feel people can get pissed off with it. But yeah, that's it. That's the way it is.
I actually feel it's a very powerful trait. Why? Because when you are in the present moment, that's where creation happens. And we don't have any hold on to anything that happens beyond.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I mean, and there's a different perspective to pain altogether, because that's also a presumptive reality, like how in my profession we call it as. So we presume things that, okay, this would happen, or, like we say, itna bura laga hoga, that kind of a thing, or the loss is perceived in certain way. A loss has to be dramatic.
Yeah. So we feel that, when a girl gets married, she has to cry.
Why
she has to cry? She's happy going to her husband.
Yes, absolutely.
But if the girl doesn't cry, people think, how is she doing like this?
Yes.
And you may feel the loss of a parent, you may feel the loss of a near and dear one.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to be portrayed in the exact same way that has been happening over centuries with a lot of people, with different people.
Absolutely.
Our minds have evolved over periods of time. We are more prone to many things which were not there earlier. Biggest being the devices that we carry in our hands.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why it's called a cell phone, because we are all inmates of the cell.
Cells, yes.
Yeah. So many things have changed over the last 20-30 years.
20, yeah.
We are having this podcast which will telecast to, I don't know, thousands and lakhs of people, which was not a possibility even 10 years back. So, but we are still living the construes of the mental framework that were done decades back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, things have changed, and people need to understand that change has happened, not just in media, in technology, but within internal selves as well.
Yeah.
The kind of pressure that the teenagers today live in because of this validation point that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is dramatic. It's so painful.
Yes.
And yet there's little that we as a society are doing about it.
Yeah. So I say this always, this very interesting thing which I always quote is that it's good to be free rather than being right. So I always believe in that, like, okay, like how we say in a funny way, not my monkey, not myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So because when you're discussing about being right or wrong, then you're choosing that I'm right and he's wrong.
Yeah.
Because then somebody's feeling bad.
Yes.
Whereas where you abstain and say, okay, it's your choice, then you're leaving that person free, then it's up to him to decide whether it was right or wrong. At least it's not under your mental burden for you to be a part of that, victimization.
Yeah. And also, like how you were sharing that the concept of acceptance and allowance. So I always say this, I mean, it's through my mentor only, Gary Douglas from Access Consciousness. So he always says one thing, that it's good to be in allowance rather than being in acceptance, because acceptance is when you buy that reality.
True.
And once you buy that reality, you are giving the, a permission to control. To be controlled.
True.
But whereas you are in allowance is like, okay, it's an interesting point of view.
Correct.
I'm in allowance of you being like that.
True.
Now what can I do about it?
True. So in communication also we use and what instead of saying but. This.
Yeah.
So when you have a conversation, you say, I don't agree, but I think this is the right way.
Yeah.
Or I say, I do agree and I have this point of view.
Yeah.
Which may be totally opposite to what we have been saying.
Yes.
But it's the same concept of allowance where you say, okay, this and this can coexist. You feel this way, I feel this way, and both have the right to be there.
Absolutely.
Because it's not a science where, either this or that has to be there.
Has to be there.
Yeah.
Great. So, wow, what a in-depth conversation. It can go on and on. But I would like to ask you two more questions. One is, what is your message to people, to young entrepreneurs? Like, we are in a time where we as millennials, then we have Gen Zs coming up and all. So,
What's the new one? Skibidis.
oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. So, what having this fantastic journey of creation and creating greater every time than what you have created, what is your message to them? That of course there are a lot of self-help books and there are a lot of like we said, podcast and Insta reels of advices and everything, but I feel the real inspiration is from the real stories. So what would you like to share with them, that how to handle things not only practically but emotionally as well?
Couple of concepts which most of these self-help books or the podcasts or the YouTubers share, where I disagree to the best level, is they say find your passion, find your why. I think they're very, very overrated concepts. Like I love doing what I'm doing right now with BNI, apart from the multiple businesses I'm handling, and this happened only 8 years back. So if I were to start or finding my why or my passion, I would have been a failure. Because I've been working for like 22 years now, and only in the last 5 years, 7 years, I've been doing this, which means the earlier part of the 15 years of my life was a failure. Which is true for most people who work either as employed people or business people. I don't think everybody needs a purpose in life.
Wow.
We are human beings. You're lucky that you're born that way. The only thing that you can do is be better at what you're doing. If you cannot be better at what you're doing, change what you're doing, and then be better at that. And if you reach a particular level where you have had enough for yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, whatever, and for your family, then comes the second best innings of your life, is when you can help others to do better. If you look at the biggest billionaires in the world, they created wealth for themselves first off the life, and then they give it all to philanthropy.
Yeah.
All of them. You name from the oldest billionaire, whether it's Rockefeller, whether it's today's Bill Gates. You talk about Berkshire Hathaway in terms of Warren Buffett. They have the pledge fund where you talk about India's Zerodha or Azim Premji. All of them have found a sense of life after they made a lot of money, but when they gave it all away, or they decided to give it all away. So for the message for the youth would be probably keep doing what you're doing. It's very difficult to find a passion right out of college. If you are able to do it, fantastic. Good job.
Yeah.
But don't get depressed in case you're not able to. So you will be led because of your education, you will be led to a job. Try to do the best. Get promoted, get a new job, whatever, take care of your family, work on your health, work on personal development, and then reach a level where you're happy and then can recreate it, reproduce it, just like we talked in the 5 levels of leadership.
Yeah.
Or then give back to the society in some way or the other, where you use your expertise, your skills, your knowledge, your domain expertise to teach other people to replicate the same, where they can reach that higher level. So finding your passion at the beginning is a big no-no for me.
Yes.
We're going to spend way too much time
to
find it, and there is a high probability that you will fail.
Yes.
So I would advise, again, I'm nobody to advise. I'm still very young in the journey of growth. But yes, that's been my learning. Just keep doing, and somewhere down the line you'll stumble upon a word called passion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because when people come and say that, oh, I need to find my passion, and I'm like, find yourself first. Because it's very easy for us to get distracted in today's world, where, okay, this is not working, okay, let's do this or do that or do that. People keep on shifting things, and in the entire story of that finding, they as a person are missing.
True.
Like how we say, my house, my business, and my family.
True.
Me and one of my friend, we were having this conversation. So she's a client turned friend, also a very popular actress, and we were just having a conversation, and we were like, who's this Mai? What is my relationship with that Mai? So you need to centering yourself, grounding yourself, and finding your own self, where you are like, okay, this is me, and
True.
this is what I would like to create. That is when real actualization happens.
Absolutely.
Where we haven't, like how you asked me about manifestation and actualization. So I always believe in one thing, is that manifestation is something which is how it's going to show up. When you're vested in the how, then you are kind of slowing down the process of what God or universe would like to give it
True.
to you.
True.
Actualization is something like, okay, I have put in this ask, no matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like, it's coming to me. So yes, so that's what I believe in. Actualization and how manifestation is different. As manifestation is when you make a demand, and then you are invested in the how it will show up, when it will show up, which kind of slows down the process. Why? Because you are again computing that thing. And actualization is my personal favorite. Why? Because you put in a demand to the universe or to the God, like you said, just do your actions, surrender, and then it's like, okay, no matter how it shows up, from where it shows up, it shows up.
Okay.
So that
I think it would be different for materialistic things.
Um,
Well, let's say my son wants to manifest a Ferrari. He better show up as a Ferrari. it better not show up as a Maruti 800.
no. The demand has to be very clear. Like I always tell my clients, have a very specific ask. True. Like how we say in BNI.
True.
Because you won't go to a hotel and you would just say, oh, I would like to have food. The chef would be like, okay, what can I feed you?
True.
So you have to be very specific. Okay, I would like to have this portion with mashed potato or with sorted vegetables with this sauce. True. The same way it works with dreams and your visions with universe. You have to be very, very specific.
And I'm surprised the vast majority doesn't use these techniques.
No, because
I'm very surprised. For me, it's worked very well, and I know specific instances where whatever the item was or whatever the wish was way out of my reach at that particular time. But yet, whichever word you want to put it, actualization or manifestation, I did put forward that, and in no time was it achieved.
Yeah.
And that just kept on strengthening my belief that it works. Of course, the action has to be there, as mentioned earlier. But having that large purpose also does, And I joke about it in BNI all the time. Whenever I go to a chapter meeting, I said, first day when I mentioned we'll have 1,000 members in 5 years' time, I'm sure everybody in that room was laughing in their minds that day. I'm sure. Well, I'm laughing today. Because we are very
I
close
only asked for 1,000. I should have asked for 2,000.
No, not that. So the goalposts keep changing. So now I'm laughing in my mind because now we're close to 1,000.
Wow.
And now the goalpost has changed. Now the bigger vision is now, can we get to 3,000 by 2030?
Wow.
And these are numbers because somewhere we are all materialistic. We have to be driven by a particular point.
Yes.
Even if it's a race, we need to see that finish line because we know that this is the benchmark I need to achieve.
Correct.
Imagine a 100-meter race without an end mark.
Correct.
How will you know when to slow down? How will you know when to speed up towards the end track?
Correct.
So you need a marker, and I think such markers, whether it's numbers, whether it's quality, do make a difference.
Awesome. So on the last note, 3 things that you would like to share to create greater in life.
Greater?
In life.
My life or
anybody's life?
It probably will be the same things that you have recapped over the last hour. I think don't bother about what people think of you. That'd be number one, which is again very difficult, but I think it's very powerful. Stay in now.
Yeah.
So that's true
That's
for
my
so many
favorite
things.
one.
Yeah. So stay in now, and stay in now means also the action part. Do it now. All those things.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, there is a future, and God's given that future better than we can think of it.
Yes.
So, as we always say, BNI or life or anything in life will always be better than what it was, but never as much as we thought it is. Probably beyond that.
Yes.
So it's up to us how we take it.
Yes.
And don't take yourself too seriously. Nobody else does.
Absolutely.
lot of us are very uptight. ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്ത ആൾക്കാർ ഇങ്ങനെ വിചാരിക്കും.
Other.
I mean, don't take yourself too seriously. Nobody else does. So,
Nobody else does. And one last question. What is being me for you? As the series is called Being Me. So what is being me for you? Like being your own self.
I am a mix, just like any other person. But I consciously am choosing to have less of pretense and more of myself being out there. It may be ugly, it may be not as great looking, but it is true.
It is true. Wow.
So I think the more people realize that, because we always see the world through a lens that we wear.
Yeah.
And if somebody talks ill about you, if somebody is ill-mannered, if somebody is short-tempered, it's probably his life upbringing,
Filters.
his challenges
Yeah.
that are reflecting. So he's not to be blamed. I mean, he's just projecting what's inside.
Correct. Correct.
And for me, the lesson is to project what's inside me. And for me, it's always positiveness.
Wow.
So being me is as much as help that we can do, as much as positiveness we can spread. And I love it when people utilize me. And I know to the level of exploitation also.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. Because if we are in a position where people can use you for their benefit, I'm great. I'm happy.
Thank you so much for being on this podcast series of Being Me with Anushree, and thank you for being yourself with me.
Was a wonderful experience. I think this is the most unscheduled and varied conversation that I've had in a long time, because usually people stick on to particular topics. If I'm doing an interview for a business proposition, it's about that. It's very subject specific. But this was more of a free-flowing conversation. I learned a lot of things, and I hope the audience can imbibe some of the things. If you don't like it, just leave it.
Be true.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, and it was an honor to have you.
Thank you.
And a lot of learning. Personally, like my personal favorite is just do it now. Now is the key to success. So yes, thank you so much. And
Do
it
you know
was
now
wonderful.
and one are just opposite? You
Yes.
say NOW and you say WON.
Yes.
So if you do
yes.
it now, you've already won the battle.
Won the thing. Wow. That's really amazing. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Anushree.
Thank you.